That's the crazy thing. Like, I'm like, again? Like, who are you? Like, you should know what you do in an organization and know the hierarchy of the organization. And whether that is a patient trying to advocate for change, whether that is a provider trying to accomplish something, you should know. You should definitely know everything that's going on in terms of who you need to talk to and what forms you need to do, what procedures you need to get done to actually do it. Oh, howdy, everybody. This is the LCSW podcast with Omar Green. And today is October 1st, 2020. Now, this is a fake episode, but I'm getting into the routine of doing this more and more. And actually, it's crazy. I've actually learned how to sync this GarageBand, which is the app I'm using to record this, with iMovie. And I got like this slick visual that's really cool. And so when it actually does come together and it actually does get uploaded somewhere on YouTube, Spotify, who knows, it's going to look cool. And right now, honestly, it's just for the fun. I feel like time inside has, not in prison, but inside of this space in my apartment and working from home, if you have been, that pushed me to be creative and pushed me to just like do things to keep my time occupied in a positive way. You know, like, and not to fall in the trap, and I didn't even fall. I succumbed to the quarantine or 15 or whatever, and I'm coming back from that now. And actually, I just worked out a little bit, but yeah. So let's see how this goes, and I might just make this a test episode and try to upload it to my channel. So here we go. But yeah, back to the thing I was talking about. So I've run into the thing sometimes where people will run to me as a mental health provider to just do something. And it's fine. Like, I'm a very visible person. Kind of am sort of the face of any mental health department. There's a lot of people that work in mental health departments, from MAs and front registrars and all that stuff. But when you think of that, you think of people that you actually get service from with the most frequency, and that would be people like me, like mental health providers or caseworkers, and those people are people that you'd want to interact and say, where do I go? And that's fine, maybe if you're a patient. And if you're a patient, whether it's in the organization trying to get something done, or it's or if it's in even another organization, right? It could be within your apartment complex. It could be within your job. One of the huge things is learning how to utilize the system, the administrative system that's there to get paperwork done on a clerical level, to provide services for you and protections for you, and how to use it for your benefit. And so I've always, taught people to learn how to do things. And I've actually taught people to ask their HR department, to ask their EAP, their Employee Assistance Program, or other programs in that like for services. But the issue here, as I started off, is that this is not a patient. This is a provider. And, and not a front registrar or someone else, even though technically front registrar, everyone should know this, because even if you're not ethical in one way, when other positions are just sort of acting out ethics in terms of like making sure, releases of information are signed to talk to third parties, making sure, consent's up to date before they enter treatment. making sure everything is above board ethically so that we're in compliance for treatment. And so, like, ethics because, we come from the same discipline, and we both have ethics, big code of ethics, and everyone's there is licensed. So I'm like, why not just do that? And I think it kind of comes from a couple of reasons. I feel like after people make it, quote unquote, right, and that's and there's been a lot of times I thought I made it, I didn't make it. I thought I made it when I got my bachelor's degree. I was like ready to say, screw the whole world. I got this degree. My life's gonna be set forever. I'm just not gonna have any problems whatsoever. I'm gonna get a job, live my life, be awesome. And I learned like no. And then I thought my life was really set when I got my master's. And then it was like no. Life started to set. I won't say it wasn't set. Started to become set when I got my LCSW. And, that's essentially, from my position in my profession, pretty much as high as you can go. You technically can do other things. You can get a doctorate. You can do all that stuff. But, like, either then you're technically leaving the field and you're working in a related field if not slightly different, or you are, or you're doing stuff that's like, it's different, not better. So you just want to research. So you might get like a PhD. You want to be a professor, and that leads you down the same lane. But in terms of that, once you get LCSW, you're pretty much made. A made man. And so, it's one of those things where, a lot of people get a license, and after that, they'll have fatigue. And I know I did, because, when I was studying for the license, it was like I had to basically surrender my social life. You know what I mean? So I had to, like, go to the world, like, yeah, I have no friends. I'm not going to have any. I'm not going to date at all. Although I did date a tiny bit. So somehow I figured it out. But I didn't do anything. Like, I worked while studying for the LCSW. And so, like, my life for a year was get up, work out. Because working out was the only thing I had that I enjoyed to do. Go to work, come home, maybe do one errand, literally one. Don't have time for two. I can hit up one spot, and then go home and study for 3 hours. And that was it for a year of my life. Essentially, that was it. And that sucked. It sucked. And people do the best they can to understand, but no one understands. No one gets it. I've only met one person. I'm lying. 2 people, one of whom I was surprised they got it, and another person who I'm not surprised at all who got it, because he's the closest family member I am close to, which is the younger of my 2 bigger brothers. And me and Ball have been close, and he's always been someone that, despite being different in a lot of ways, was able to understand someone like me that was completely opposite of him in a lot of ways. So shout out to him. So he got it, and the girl I'm seeing now, she got it. But other than that, no one got it. So everybody's like, man, why you ain't coming out? Why you ain't doing this? Why you ain't? I'm like, yo, I gotta study. You know what I mean? And you have to discipline yourself, because it in a heartbeat, like days, weeks, months can just fly away and then you there at the test day, just feeling like, damn, I'm messed up. Like I'm just not like, oh, shop open, shop closed. Like we not winning, and that's especially for something I put so much time in and money into, and this represented my whole career because without this, your career doesn't really mean much in terms of like all the other stuff for schooling you put in. Like it's a big effing deal, man. Like I'm not gonna. Oh, and also I'm not cursing on this podcast. I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying to keep it clean. Try to keep it classy. But let's see. Maybe if I ever get any traction as these episodes go up, I need to get edgy. I'll totally curse. I'll drop an F bomb. I'll say ain't really hard. But yeah, so like, like you could totally lose yourself. And I remember like I was at a party. It wasn't a party. It was 3 years ago. Well, actually 4 years ago now. And I was studying. No, 3 years ago, and it was 2017 because I got my license, and I had, I had a long winter and it was cold all the way up into April, and I had friends I used to, we are more acquaintances, but whatever, friends. And so, it was a first hot day, and they wanted to hang out and have lunch and just party. And when I say we partied for 12 hours straight, we partied for 12 hours straight. I've never done that in my life before. Never done it again afterwards. We went to brunch at 12. Hung out at the one spot, the Zane's, for like a couple hours. And then like they bar hopped into the nighttime, and we ended up back at the Zane's. And then they raced up and down to, and actually it got so bad that like by 12 I had to like leave, and it was crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and it was a fun time. It was fun. I mean, I didn't meet any girls and like that, but it was still fun. I was hanging with the fellas. They was joking around. I just happened to be there. It was cool just to be out. It was on a perfect day weather-wise. Zane's, when Zane's is hitting right, Zane's arguably maybe the best restaurant bar combo in Connecticut. The vibe is just, when it's hitting right, it's perfect. It's like, it's chill. There's no pressure. Like, you could just have a good time. Like, it's like it's all like, there's nowhere that's like it, and that's crazy to say. But yeah. So we had an awesome time. But I realized, like, when I came back, and I came back to my apartment, and I'm going to bed, I thought, like, yo, that day just flew by. And, like, nothing. And 12 hours gone. And so that was, like, the hardest warning of, yo, you need to keep your stuff together. You need to keep it tight. You got to be disciplined, because like ain't no one coming out of that other room to say, hey, Omar, like, chill on the party and you need to study some more. And so I was on my business. And so other than that, one day, maybe another, I ain't go out. I ain't do nothing. I ain't see nobody. I ain't do nothing. You know what I mean? And I kept it like that because it was it's hard to discipline yourself and do that. But when you take breaks from it, it's even harder because it's harder to jump in and out of different mindsets. And it's hard to like say I'm a party this day and not party the other day. And so it was hard. And so I did that for a year to come all the way this tangent. You know, these podcast tangents I hear other people do. I didn't. At first, I'm like, how do people do this? How do people just keep just tangenting off and tangent and tangent and tangent and tangent? And I'm like, now I get it. Now I totally get this. So yeah, so I did that for a whole year, and after that whole year, man, you just stuck. Like, I remember the first couple of days after I passed the test, I would just go to a grocery store and just walk around. And, like, I don't know what I'm doing because I'm so used to studying. I'm like, I'm just free now. I'm like, dang. I'm like, yo, I got time on my hands. I can do stuff. I don't got to go straight home. I don't got to read this book again. You know what I mean? Because, like, it gets exhausting, man. Like you read the same answers and the same notes over and over and over and over and over and over again. And, like, it gets to a point where it's like, how many times can I read this? How many times can I read the same example? I've seen all the Quizlets. Like, I'm done. I'm done without win, lose, draw, pass, fail. I mean, I'm just gonna go for it, and I'm just gonna go for it. And so, that's what I did, and so I did that, and I made a good effort at it, and it was hard, and I barely passed, but I passed. And so I can understand people being fatigued and, people not wanting to study as much or stay on top of it. But it's part of the job. It really is. And I'm not going to lie and be like, I study as hard as I did for LCS studies. I don't. But I still do. I skim through a couple of things. Right now I'm reading one of the first books I ever read on empathy and the practice of giving empathy, and she has a good chapter of like really being on the same level and not only rephrasing what they're saying, but trying to take all the information to see what they're gonna thinking, what they think about the future, what they thought about the past, whenever you think about any situation, and it's really cool. And I'm at the point where they're talking about like confronting people, where and it reminds me of sort of like what I did in improv, where when you first go into improv, they tell you like every scene is predicated on you saying yes, right? Like you continuing the thought. But as you get more advanced in improv, they realize that like they tell you more that it's not just about saying yes and continuing the thought, because you have to realize that saying yes doesn't mean you agree. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing for empathy. Saying I understand does not mean I agree. I can think you are 1,000,000% wrong, but I can still connect the dots and say, okay, I got how you got there, but you're still wrong. And so, we're talking. So that's where I'm at now with it, and I'm continuing to read. I've been so inspired to be more active. And between the Black Lives Matter thing with the mural, hopefully wellness check thing that I'm trying to get done. That's hit a snag, but hopefully we can keep pushing it. And other stuff, we can try to be as involved as possible. I really think that involvement is great. So I think, understanding and confronting is awesome. But to come back to it, I'm reading. And even when if I don't feel like I know something, like I have my DSM ready. I'll research everything. I'll look through my old notes and kind of make sure that the things that I'm going through are the things that I'm still saying to this day. I'm still living by, because there's such great things to sort of live by. You know what I mean? And like, you can see when people are just sort of like winging it. Like, you know what I mean? Got no direction, no nothing. And just like, it looked like this, so I guess it's like that. And they don't got like the whole complete facts set. And so coming all the way back to like the person that I'm like, you don't make administrative decisions. You don't control personnel. Find the person that does and ask. And if I did, I did. I think it was dumb, because I've talked to somebody else about that, and we both think it's dumb. But always do your due diligence to know what's around you, know your positions, and know how everybody else position and how their positions relate back to you. Because that's how you better yourself as a provider of any sort. Because no one person is an island. I don't care who you are, unless you're like someone like one of my former clinical directors who was a psychiatrist that actually treated patients for counseling. Like, he could be like a one-man army. Other than him, everybody else needs somebody else. And so it's good to get to know the other people that you may need. And it's good to actually understand their roles and understand how they relate back to you, so you can have a complete answer. And know sometimes when it is you. When it is your time to sort of do things and things that you can do by yourself without anybody else. And I think that's something that I have sort of embraced in this sort of stay-at-home time. In a sense, like just doing more things for myself, doing more things by myself, and being more capable. And even though there's been some rough patches, I think, I'm learning from it. And I feel like I'm going to be ultimately better